Hey everyone, we're just about to get going on our live chat today. Thanks for being here. I'm just going to make sure that we've retweeted out the link and so people can join in on the conversation. So let me just, if you're just joining us, feel free to DM a few people and let's get more people in this room. And once that happens, then we'll get going. I see there's a bunch of you. Great. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining us today. Today I'm going to talk about how mindset, confidence, and saboteurs can impede our own leadership. And so, mindset is an important piece because it comes up in everything we do. If I'm trying to lose weight, mindset is an issue. If I'm trying to, deliver a speech, mindset comes into play. If I'm trying to build my business, mindset comes. If I'm trying to create content, mindset comes into play. So that's why I thought this would be a really great discussion about that. And again, one of the things you should know with my rooms, I invite everyone to come on stage. You're all welcome to come on stage. You can share your story, you can share your ideas, you can share your insights. I just ask that we all talk to each other in a respectful, inclusive, and supportive, empathetic manner. And we all take our turns when I call on everyone to share their stuff. So that's really the main thing I wanted to say. And if you would be so kind as to retweet the tweet at the top of the nest, which is all about promoting this room, we can get more people in the conversation. And yeah, so I'd love to have people come on stage because, again, I also like to engage. And if you have questions about your own mindset, your own confidence, and also saboteurs that might, impede on your thoughts, we can have that conversation. So let me just do a quick introduction. My name is Bobby Umar. I am a professional speaker by trade. For the last 17 years, I love the hearts, right? So you want to share hearts or claps or different things to say hello. That's all really good stuff. It's always fun to see those things. So I'm a professional speaker by trade. I've spent the last 17 years traveling around the world. I've delivered 1,000 keynotes and workshops to, hundreds of thousands of people across 4 continents. I'm a 5-time TEDx speaker too, so I've done 5 TEDx talks. So for me, storytelling and speaking is a big part of what I do. And most of the topics I talk about are usually leadership based, but I've talked about storytelling, I've talked about personal branding, I talk about authentic connection, building meaningful relationships, I talk about community building. And nowadays I talk about thought leadership, I talk about digital marketing, I talk about LinkedIn and Twitter and social audio like Clubhouse and Twitter Spaces and how to actually leverage those. I talk about how to get a TEDx talk. These are things that I talk about now. I host this weekly room called the Power of Connection Chat to engage in conversation with this community to teach them about the things that I know, but also learn about what they care about and what they want to learn about. And the reason why mindset has become a big thing nowadays is because during the pandemic, when speaking was no longer around as much, I was doing more coaching. So I was coaching people on how to transition their career. I was coaching them on how to build their business or their entrepreneurship thing. I was coaching them on how to create content for LinkedIn and Twitter. I was coaching them on how to get clarity on their personal brand and get greater direction and purpose. And every single time I talked to somebody, there was always an issue about mindset. They would always have some sort of saboteur thought that would get in the way of what they wanted to do. And so for me, that was something that was quite fascinating. And so one of the things that I did actually is I joined this group called Sage Leadership. It was really interesting. It was a really interesting discussion. And what we found out was there's certain saboteurs that come into our head, and it's actually really amazing about those saboteurs. And there's different types, of course, but what I found about the saboteurs is that they impede us in every aspect of our life. And so it's important to know what those saboteurs are. There's a quiz I did that helped me actually understand. And it was based on a whole bunch of research, and it helped me understand exactly what they were. And one of the ones for me was I'm a people pleaser, and so being a people pleaser made me do things that maybe I didn't want to do. So, for example, if my parents wanted me to do something and I didn't want to do it because I want to please my parents, I would just do it and avoid the conflict. Right? I'm like, oh God, okay, fine, I'm doing this. Other people who are more hyper vigilant or hyper sensitive about controlling things and they lose control, they let those saboteur thoughts actually stop them from doing things too. So it's really quite a common thing that we all have. And so whether you're trying to lose weight or whether you're trying to run your business, these saboteur thoughts can impede us at every single moment. But the truth is, if you learn to manage your mindset, and really understand, dive deeper than emotions, understand who you are, what drives you. Then you're going to be able to actually enhance your leadership. You're going to be able to enhance your confidence, and you're going to be able to really change your life the way you want. And I can tell you, there are thousands of examples. If any of you have a job, working in a corporate job, you will have mindset and saboteur thoughts that impede you from speaking up at work. You will have those thoughts that will make you not want to ask for a promotion. You will have those thoughts that will make you not want to leave your job and look for something else. Or you'll do it maybe after 3, 4 years versus doing it right away. So these are all things that happen to us. And it's important for us to understand how that works and why it happens to us. So if anybody wants to come on stage and share a thought about that, I welcome that. I'd love to have you be part of it. And if you're liking the conversation, we do this every week on 11:15 a.m. on Mondays, the Power Connection Chat, and I love to share this stuff with people. But I also really love to have people on stage joining with me. So, and if you're liking the conversation, by all means, you can retweet the tweet above, or you can click the arrow button and just say, "Hey, we're learning about mindset and confidence and saboteur thoughts. We're learning about thought leadership." And make sure you write something. Don't just retweet. Just don't just share the link. Share, what it's about, what we're talking about. Tag, and if you tag me at Rayhan Bobby, then I'll see it in my feed, and then I can retweet it to my 500,000 followers, which means we'll get more people in the room, which also means you'll probably get some extra followers too. So that's a win-win, as far as I'm concerned. So if you want to come on stage, please do. Oh, I see there's someone coming. Great. I love people come on stage. Just Tina. That's awesome. Um, and Tina, if you're able to speak, say hello, introduce yourself, and tell me what your thoughts are, or if you have a question or something you want to dive into.
Hello, my name is Tina Lawyer, and I am an educator, an author, and just a person who is constantly thinking about how I can show up and be my authentic self. So I just wanted to share a thought with everyone about saboteur thoughts when you are a minority. Of course, they impede you from being your authentic self, particularly at work and in the workplace and around your coworkers. I just want to remind everyone that because of your mindset as a minority, there are thoughts that prohibit you from being your best self. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I think that growing up and even now, well, one of the things that's always interesting is like, um, we're often really unaware of, that we have a lot of mindset issues, and saboteur thoughts are also from systemic hierarchies, and they're from different systems that are in place that hold us back or put us down. And so, really a really easy example for me is, as someone being a brown person, there were times where I was hyperly aware of I guess the racial aspect, and I was very intimidated by police officers, for example, very intimidated by them, particularly those particularly the white males. They really scared me when I was younger, and other times I also had issues over the years where I was an apologist for some of the brown issues that were affecting people in my culture, who were saying things. I remember one of the first ones was when a couple of my brown friends started talking about how they didn't like the fact that Apu from The Simpsons was being voiced by a white guy, and I said back in the day, "Oh, I don't care." Right? I just said that because I didn't care about it. But then when I really dug deep into it and started to really understand how those people were feeling, I started realizing that I had my own mindset issues and my own narratives that I was thinking or spewing, and since then my position has changed on that type of thing. And another really good example was I was watching an episode of there's a show called, or a show called was called Patriot Act. It was run by Hassan Minhaj, and he's a comedian. He was on the Daily Show, and he did this episode where he said, "I was doing an episode of my show, and I said, 'Hey everyone, my name is Hassan Minhaj,' and my mom and dad were in the audience that day, and I saw the look on my mom's face when I said my name was Hassan Minhaj, mispronouncing both my first and my last name just because I wanted to sound more westernized or whatever it might be. The look on her face broke my heart." And he said, from then on, I said, why the hell am I doing this? From now on, it's going to be Hassan Minaj because that's my name. And what I can tell you, and this is something a lot of people don't realize, is, for years, and I still struggle with this, but for years, having been a professional speaker and having done thousands of videos online on YouTube and LinkedIn and Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, I always introduced myself as, hey, hi, my name is Bobby Umar, which is wrong. That's not how it's pronounced. My wife, Ananda Umar, my kids, Niall and Raya Umar, I'm from the Umar family, but I always say Bobby Umar. And it's like, why do I do that? And because I don't know. And then finally I was like, you know what? From now on, I'm never doing that. I'm just going to say, hi, Bobby Umar here. And some people can't pronounce it. They say Umar. I say, no, it's Umar. And they say Umar. No, it's Umar. And sometimes they want to attempt it, which is fine and dandy. I like that. I appreciate when they do that. But for the most part, sometimes people struggle with it. So, but I'm always trying to educate people on how to do that. And so for me, that's another, racial mindset I had that was holding me back, and now I'm working towards getting better at it. So, you know, Tina, what you're sharing is really, really helpful, and I really thank you for coming on stage to talk about it. Anything else you want to add, or any other aspects? Because I thought that was fantastic. If not, no worries.
Well, there's no Bobby. Thanks. I think you nailed it when you talk about issues, and they're really self sabotaging issues, right? Sometimes we're thinking, because of my race I can't show up, because of my race I shouldn't be here, because of, it's really self-sabotaging. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. So, we are always self sabotaging. That's why it's so important to know what are the different saboteur thoughts or saboteur things that hold us back. We have the judge that's in our head telling us we can or cannot do something. And so it's important for us to understand what that is and how it works. And that's why, again, I work with a lot of people on their mindset, on their confidence. I had a client one time, and she hired me to put together a content strategy for LinkedIn and also to update our website and all that kind of stuff. And she booked me for 8 sessions, and we spent 6 of those 8 sessions just working on her mindset because she was so terrified to post content out there. Well, what if and even if it's related to her expertise, she was just terrified. And then she was so concerned that, oh, my website, what if it doesn't capture who I am, and what do I do? And I was like, wow. And so I spent 6 sessions with her just working on her mindset. And that's when I realized, wow, this is a big deal for everybody. And then I ran a speaker group where I tried to help people become public speakers and get more speaking gigs. And again, a lot of issues about, well, do I don't want to reach out to people and pester them, and I don't want to bother them with an email, selling my services or whatever it might be. And I too had mindset issues around, using content platforms like Twitter and LinkedIn and selling my services. But I'm like, but then I realized, and I worked with a coach on that, a sales coach, and he's like, Bobby, like, you're an entrepreneur. You got to sell your stuff. You got to be able to share, like, not all the time, but every once in a while, say, yeah, hey, I'm doing this workshop, or hey, I have this course, or hey, I have this program. Please, if you want to hire me, please do it. Hire me as a speaker, hire me as a trainer. And so I've learned to become better at that in terms of doing it, because we all have these saboteur thoughts that get in our way. And again, if anybody wants to come on stage and share their thoughts in terms of where their mindset impedes them, how they want to get better at leadership in their career, in their business, even in their personal lives, I encourage you to come on stage to share your story, share your thoughts, and I'm happy to do that. If you like what you're hearing or you hear some insights, click the arrow button, share the tweets out there, tag me so I can retweet it. You can also click on the thread button there on the bottom right, which is like the talking bubble, and you can share a thought there or ask a question. You can also DM me if you have questions too. So with that, I see my lovely compadre Indra, who's also helped me co-host some of these things, is on here too. I'll add you as a co-host too, Indra. But Indra, please go ahead and introduce yourself and then share a thought.
Hello, everyone. It's Indra Bartoni here, and I'm actually the founder of the Positivity Vibe Tribe community here on Twitter. I'm also a Hollywood producer based in Los Angeles, currently in development for my new next movie. I am super excited about this topic. of mindset and how it can hold us back for so many reasons. I just wanted to jump on something that Bobby was just sharing that was really valuable when you were talking about, Bobby, the fact that our thoughts can really hold us back on so many levels. I recently did a show on thoughts become things on my YouTube channel, and I was doing some research, and I was just absolutely blown away. And I know everybody else will be that we have like on an average between anything between 50,000 and 70,000 thoughts per day. And the majority of them can lean a little bit, within the doubt realm, within the negativity realm, because they're actually trying to protect us from anything that could be coming. I mean, now we're not running from, you know, um, crazy dinosaurs or anything, but they still are there. They're part of our makeup. So I'm just going to leave it right there because I know you've probably got a lot of thoughts, Bobby, on this that we could probably build on.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thanks so much for that. I kind of want to segue into the um, confidence, because one of the things that I think a lot of people what's really interesting is people don't realize how important confidence is when it comes to their everyday life as well as with work. And there was a study that showed that and people think it's mostly women, but it's also men too. So I think it was 62% of men and 80, and I think it was 81% of women or something like that, struggle with confidence in the workplace, whether it's speaking up, whether it's speaking your truth, whether it's disagreeing with somebody, or whether it's just delivering a presentation. They found that to be really stressful, and they struggle with that. And then an even more impactful one: 95 to 99% of workers felt that confidence was critical to their success in the workplace. And so we have to learn to build that confidence. Now, there's lots of ways to do that. And what I would say, what I do when I work with people on building confidence is, number one, there are different exercises you can do, like understanding your saboteur thoughts and mindsets that hold you back. I think is really key. There's different exercises you can do to kind of work on answering the questions and things that come up in your head that try to hold you back, that create those doubts for you. Getting a coach to work with on mindset and talk through things. I have my own coach. I coach other people. That works. Having a supportive community where you can crowdsource and be supported on your goals and sharing your issues that you have. These are all things that help. But one of the things that really helps people, and this is something that I always talk about a lot, but is actually work on your personal brand. And people don't realize the importance of this. But if you actually do a deep dive personal brand analysis, what that means is you dive into truly understanding from a self-assessment perspective your personality traits, your values, your interests, your skills, the stories of your life. And then you do a feedback mechanism where you ask people in your network, whether they're your bosses, your subordinates, your team members, or friends, your cousins, your family, and you ask them to give you feedback on who you are and what you're all about and how they perceive you. And then you do a bunch of online assessments where you identify, again, personality traits, values, leadership traits, things like that. And what's really powerful about this process is that when you do this and you go through all the stuff and start to find the themes and threads that are similar, what happens is you start to see and get more clarity on who you are, what your superior strengths are, what kind of memorability you give to people, how you help the world, and what kind of purpose you can create for yourself. And when you dive into your personal brand and you create more clarity, purpose, and direction and focus for your life and your business and your work, and you know who your target audience is, and you know how you help them and how you support them and empower them, then that will actually greatly increase your confidence. And what's really important about confidence is that confidence wins confidence. When I go on stage and I speak and I deliver a talk with confidence and passion and vigor, I win the confidence of the audience. When I'm even here and talking to you in a confident way, it's not like I'm talking like, so guys, I think that maybe confidence can help, and maybe you should invest in your personal brand. I don't know. Like, I'm not talking like that. I'm saying it very matter of factly. No, dive in your personal brand. Get clarity in your target. work on this stuff. Get a coach, get a community support system, do the work to get better. And I trust me, you will have incredible results and outcomes with find that new job, gain those new clients, and be able to speak up at work. But you have to do the work, right? I mean, work is work, and you have to do the work. So when I speak with confidence, I can win your confidence too, and that goes for everybody here. You have to be able to learn how to do that. And for me, a lot of people have trouble with that. And so that's why, and a nice little segue into my little workshop here. But I'm doing a workshop actually end of this month on my leadership mindset. And I'm working with two people, Roy Kowarski, who's in Australia, and Angie Alexander's on the West Coast. So it's a totally global effort here, the three of us. And we're offering this really awesome workshop through the Thought Leader Brand Club. It's a super duper reduced rate, which is great. Because when I do coaching for people, I charge $500 an hour. But this thing, I think it's $150. So it's really, and for 2 hours you get access to people. And Angie Alexander, she is an expert in sage leadership, and she's an expert in diving into the different sage saboteur thoughts that we all have. So she's going to talk about that. And Roy Kowarski is a mindset expert that's going to be in Australia. He's going to talk, and he's going to talk about again five major tips to help you overcome your mindset and give you some tools to do that. I'm going to talk more about leadership and a business development and branding perspective, but I'm also going to talk about how I'm going to focus more on how to build your confidence and give you a couple of exercises that are going to help you with that. So if you're interested in being part of that workshop, I encourage you to look at the link and sign up. If you have questions, just ping me, or you can bring them up here and you can let me know about that. But with that, I wanted to see if my fellow speakers on stage had any thoughts on confidence.
Yes, Bobby, I would love to chime in. I have found that the best way to build confidence is to, first of all, I mean, ultimately we have to take some actions and then we have something to reflect on. And that will actually propel us forward towards our goals and our dreams. Um, so if we have some small steps, and often the reason why we don't have the confidence, as Bobby was saying, it's really about moving forward and building that confidence. But how do we do that? Well, okay, so you have to have that plan, and I know Bobby loves plans because anything written down on paper is so much more powerful, right? Than all on your computer, right? But it's written in front of you. The written word is always going to be a lot more substantial because then you have a place to go or a place to start. And then breaking down these goals into actionable steps and then small steps and planning. I mean, I think this process should never ever stop for us all as leaders, right? I almost think that it's a weekly thing to reassess because what we might have been planning um, months ago or even last year is going to be so different. But to break things down into bite-sized pieces and that are realistic, and aside, what I really love to do, and I think this is the secret for me, is to assign time in my schedule, and then it doesn't seem overwhelming. And what I do is, at the end of each day, I actually go through this practice of it's almost like a gratitude practice on all the things that I've achieved, and in giving myself that credit, that actually boosts our self-worth because I think the thing is that we are sometimes so busy focused on look, I still have to do this, I still have to do that, on all these things. But when we break down the list and we look at and reflect on, oh, I've achieved this, this is amazing. um, be proud of yourself. Do acknowledge all of your wins, and I think it's really important to acknowledge the small little wins. Over to you, Bobby.
I love that aspect of acknowledging wins. And if Tina wants to say something, she totally can unmic or just put her hand up, and you can speak too. One of the things with wins is there's some great imagery out there. Like Liz and Molly did this great imagery where you look at that small little uptick on a graph, but then you look at the full graph of the journey, the journey of a thousand, the 1,000 steps, and never ever look at like, so there's a whole perspective where you could say, well, I could look at the 900 steps I haven't taken yet, or what about the 100 you've already taken, or how about the one you just took today, or the one you took last week. I think that's so important. Another really great example. Again, I'm a math nerd, guys. So the mathlete in me. There's this great meme out there that says that 1.01, right, to the power of 365 equals 37. What that means is 37 something. And what that means is that if you do just something 1% more every day, right? And you do it every day for 365 days, the impact, so 1.01 times 1.01 times 1.01, eventually gets you to every day, 365 days, 37. So 37 times the impact or result. I love that meme. It's one of my favorite things as a math nerd, but also as a leadership coach. So, yeah, those small wins are so good. And that's why actually, I actually today's Monday. So I'm part of this, this membership community called the Thought Your Brain Club. And every week on Mondays, we celebrate our goals. We talk about our goals. What are the smarter goals we're creating for ourselves? But on Fridays, we share our wins and whatever the win may be. And even if you didn't achieve your goals, what's the win or what's the learning? What's the gratitude you can get from those things? Because that's also going to help you, move along. It's all about fueling the growth and fueling the movement. Because, and I've been in membership groups and I've also worked with people where there's no movement, and it breaks my heart when there's no movement, especially when people can't even talk about it. They won't even say why. They won't share. And it's like pulling teeth sometimes. What's going on? Tell me. I'm here to help you. Even here, like, I'm here to help all of you. And if you want to come on stage and ask a question and get help with your life or your work or your business, I'm here right now. I mean, I know I talked about the workshop. The workshop is more of a deeper dive with exercises and things like that, putting the work in the workshop. But I'm here right now to answer any question you have. So come on stage and share some knowledge and ask a question and tell me about what you're struggling with when it comes to mindset or confidence or saboteurs in your own leadership journey, because we all have them. I mean, I had my biggest one the past year, and actually one I have right now is, trying to lose weight and trying to get more healthy because I'm trying to, do more better eating and do more exercise, but it's hard sometimes, and I sometimes falter, and sometimes I feel bad for myself. It's not going well, but then I focus on what are the good things, what are the wins, but that's something I struggle with. Another thing I used to struggle with was selling. I used to book calls with potential clients on stuff, and even though I do a lot of workshops, people would buy the workshops, but whenever I wanted to get a one-on-one coaching client and I get them on a call, I just couldn't convert. I was very charming. I was very persuasive. I had a program, I had a plan, but then I think I did probably in the last 5 to 10 years, I've probably done maybe, I don't know, 500 calls with people. How many did I convert? Maybe like I can count them on my fingers. So like I just couldn't do it. And so I finally hired a sales guy to help me with this. And then next thing you know, and he even guaranteed me results. He said, "If you invest in me, I will triple your results." I said, "Okay, sure." And I did it. And lo and behold, I did it. And pretty soon, within 10, 20 calls, I was already converting at least 5 or 10 of them, with at least 5 or 6 of them, which was great. So, getting help, working on those things goes a long way to, again, increasing your mindset, increase your confidence. So, and we all need help. And so that's why I want people to come on stage and share stuff. But let me see if Tina has anything she wants to add. Anything you want to share from what we've been talking about? Wins, small wins, confidence. Tina? Okay, no worries. She might be somewhere else. That's fine. I'm loving the conversation with everyone here, and I really appreciate all of you who are being here. Again, if you like what you're hearing, share this out there. Tag me so I can retweet it, and I can retweet it to your followers and my followers, and share the love and get more people in this room. We have another person on stage here, Hussein. Welcome to the stage. Please go ahead and share your question or comment. Are you there? Are you able to speak? Okay, maybe he can't able to speak right now. That's okay. I understand it happens to all of us. Maybe he's. Does he have the confidence to speak? No, I'm kidding. I'm sure he's up here. So he had the bravery to, just put his hand up. Hey, there you are. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Are you there? Are you able to speak, Hussein? I see you unmiking, so it sounds like you can. You might have some tech difficulties, but that's okay. Don't let your tech difficulties impede your
I'm
mindset.
sorry.
That happens to us too. Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Hussein Asaraf, and I've been actually through TED program. I'm sorry for my English, by the way. It's not really good, but I'll try to speak up. And I would actually like to speak about TED shows on YouTube. It helped me a lot with my life. I've been struggling with ADHD medications a lot, actually. It's been affecting my health. Um, and I have a weight problem. And since I watched TED, I feel people are talking to me like they can feel me, they can sense me. I don't know how, it sounds weird maybe, but that's what I actually felt. It's like people, it's like this program or this show is for me. It's they made it for me. There's people talking about specific thing like I'm going through it, and I was struggling with the self confidence and a lot of things, and I got a lot of big goals. I'm a student in the Higher Institute of Dramatic Arts in Acting and Directing section by the Ministry of the Higher Education in Kuwait, and uh, uh, I was thinking to reach another country to work or cooperate and work in a national way. I've been have big goals, and TED helped me a lot, and I'm so thankful. About the subject of how mindset, confidence, and the words, I cannot read it very well. I mean, translated um, um, by own leadership. Uh, I just got into the space, and I don't know uh, actually Miss Bob, what and Miss Andra, what you are speaking of since the beginning. So, would not like to interrupt. I just like to share my experience about TED, and I hope uh, I'm seeking for unity and working with people and the team well, and because I got dislocated, I was thank you for listening to me for your thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Hussein. I do appreciate you taking the time to share your story. A couple of things that come to my mind. Number one, yeah, TED Talks are a great source of stories, lessons, learning, and a way to motivate and inspire ourselves every day. I know people who listen to TED Talks on a daily basis for that daily dose of inspiration because there's always an amazing TED Talk out there. And if you haven't seen mine, you can certainly I only have three of my five TED Talks are available via video. One was on the power of connection. The other one was about the power of questions. And the other one was all about 20-second hugs. So you might find them really interesting to watch. But yeah, I think that that's a great way to inspire yourself and to, if you're struggling or you want some guidance, you want some inspiration, TED Talks and the stories and lessons they teach are really, really good. And that's why I also, work on a program. Actually, it's a program, and I'm actually doing a workshop. I'm actually doing a free live stream at the end of this month on LinkedIn, where I'm going to talk about how to get a TEDx talk. So you might find that really interesting. I believe it's on the September 28th at 1 p.m. Eastern. I think it's a Wednesday on LinkedIn. You can take a look at that, and I'm going to present that. But yeah, TED Talks are great. I love helping people get a TED Talk. I believe every single person has a story. Every single person has a purpose and legacy that they can create, and I'm on a mission to help them create that. So I think thank you for sharing that. I do appreciate it. Um, Before I go to Abdulaziz, I want to see if Indra had any sort of comment as well for Hussein.
Thanks so much, Bobby. Well, first of all, as a producer, I want to it warmed my heart when I heard that you were studying uh, to be in the business. So congratulations, and that's very, very exciting. And I wish you all the best of success, and it'll be exciting to see what you can do along on this beautiful path. Secondly, you said that you kind of chimed in towards the end of what I shared. Well, I was kind of reflecting on a lot of things and building off what Bobby was talking about is to take action. And I just want to give you some kudos for taking action and for being in the space today, because you've come in here, you're talking, and you're sharing about your concerns and about your journey. So that's also going to give you some confidence in the fact of that you are speaking in a space. And I just really give you a lot of encouragement to continue on that path, to continue. I know that Bobby has a lot of resources that could really help. So I encourage you to, do a little bit of research on him, click on his, obviously, follow Bobby, everybody in the space, but also, click on Bobby and have a look at all of his resources. He has a wealth of resources available to help in leadership. And if there's anything that I can help you with, also, I have a YouTube channel and so many different things. Um, do follow up with me as well. But welcome to the space and look forward to having more discussions with you here. I just want to jump in as a little intro on that.
Awesome, thanks, Andrew, for that. And by the way, I should mention that I'm a an up and coming and very interested actor myself. So if you ever need anybody, I could play a really funny, charming next door neighbor type, for your movie. I'm just putting it out there. If you ever need me, I'm there for you. But let's keep going on. Abdulaziz, go ahead and share your question or thought.
Hello, Bobby, and everyone in the space. So, this year I went through an first experience for me as a leadership in my workplace, but I'm facing some difficulties with what you have said in the beginning, that you are a pleasant guy. So even me, I'm pleasant guy. So sometimes I I did not communicate with some of my employees that the real truth of, for example, of what hindering us to achieve any goal, trying to uh, please them. This is one of the challenges that I'm really facing. So, what are your advices in order to overcome this challenge?
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And yes, people pleasing is one of those saboteur. I mean, it sounds nice. It sounds nice to be people pleaser. I want to make everyone happy. I want to make people feel good. But it also can hold us back. And if we are in charge of a team, if we are in charge of a company, if we are in charge of those things, we have to make decisions that may not be agreed upon by everybody. I was a people pleaser too, and I still am. And there was a guy in my company, and I spent 4 to 6 months trying to listen to him and support him, and trying to find a way to make him feel like he's part of the process. But eventually, I was too nice because he was a friend. And I couldn't just say let me just let you go. Like, it's not working out. I just couldn't do it until finally 6 months later he's like, okay, I want to leave. I'm like, oh well, I think that's been coming, but I probably should have gotten rid of him sooner. And when it comes to like this type of people pleasing thing, I mean, the first thing to think about is, what is the goals, objectives of the team and the company, and what are you trying to, do, right? And when you have a conversation with people, one of the things I'll ask them is like, are you aligned to helping this organization and this team do its best? And when they say yes, well, then I'll say, well, listen, are you open to some feedback or criticism or identification of some of the challenges that are holding us back so we can be better as a team? And when they say yes, then I tell them. And I ask people, do you want some constructive feedback so that you can be better at your job and we can be better as a team and our organization can have better results? So I always focus it back to the results of the organization, the team, and also the results of the positive results of that person. I'll say, are you interested in your personal development? Are you interested in becoming better at what you're doing, what you want to do. And in doing so, I can get their buy-in to want to be part of the of that conversation, right? So that works very, very well, I find. The second thing I'll say is that you should look into what the different types of people pleaser, like the saboteurs, and how they work, because it's important to understand. If you understand how it works, then you understand uh, how to deal with it, right? So a people pleaser, by their very nature, they indirectly try to gain acceptance and affection by basically helping others and pleasing them and rescuing them or flattering other people, but they lose sight of their own needs, and they also lose sight of the needs of the team. And so for you, you have to be able to identify that and be able to leverage that for the sake of the team. And the other thing is, you also have to understand that you're going to make decisions that don't make everyone happy. You just are. That's life. That's life on a team. That's life with working with people. And so, I've learned that even here, like I tweet things that make some people unhappy or angry, and so okay, what are you going to do about it, right? So not much I can do about it except try to just make a decision based on what I think is best for the team, and try to be as honest as I possibly can. Because here's the thing: if you are honest and you are honest with the business, and you have the authority from the organization to give those make those decisions, right? You're going to overall benefit the team. So now focus your mindset on, well, let's say if I was honest about the gaps or the opportunities to fix our team or our team members, what will be the end result? Will it be good or bad? There may be some bad, which is like, oh, they might not like me, or they might be annoyed, and they might be upset. But the good part is they will get better as a person or leader. The team will have better results, and you will look better for having had the courage to do those things. Hope that makes sense. Indra, what do you think?
Absolutely. You just nailed it. Mic drop, Bobby. But the
Woo.
courage is the thing, right? And we have to almost pretty much take responsibility, and that's what your underlying message was about, us taking responsibility for ourselves, being accountable. Because at the end of the day, nobody else. I mean, we can get feedback from others and do lean on good feedback, on your journey. But ultimately, we really have to be our own best friends, our own cheerleaders. So it's really up to us to make sure that we're headed in the right direction. That also we can give ourselves some feedback by self reflection on various things. Something that I do, and is that, okay, so I just finished a small project, and it was just a small corporate video, training video. Um, Now, what I did was I actually went through and I made a list of the things that I could improve on for next time. And then I also made a list of all the things that were absolutely killer, that was blown out of the ballpark, that were amazing. And pretty much there's always something that we can learn. And if we realize that it's not self-criticism, it's about learning the process, how we can improve things and how we can even keep moving forward and winning at those things. So I did want to say that, and share that, Bobby. Also, I just wanted to comment in the chat. Thank you so much, everybody, for putting your comments in the chat. And for some of you that aren't able to speak, David just said he's listening in. He can't. He's unable to take a speaking invitation, but this is certainly key theme for me in my growth. And the counter is being clear on your values, strengths, etc. So just wanted to share that, and everybody love you getting into the chat. And I know that Bobby will go into the chat in more detail, probably after the space.
Yeah, and I can also mention the chats. There's a button on the bottom right, which is that bubble for speaking. You can click on that thing, and then you can add your own commentary to what we're talking about and share something, or share a thought, or share a question. So that's right. And I saw Christy did that too. And Christy was on stage before, but she got out. But Christy, you're always sorry, Crystal. My apologies, Crystal. You're welcome to come back on stage and share your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. But now we have a couple of people on stage. We have Vimal, and we also have Elle. So let's go to Vimal first. Vimal, go ahead and share your question or comment. Are you able to speak? Okay, maybe he's away. That's fine. Well, okay. Well, we'll wait for him to figure out his mic situation. Let's see if Elle would like to share something. Elle, please go ahead and share something.
Hello. Thank you, Bobby and Indra, for your um nice chat room. I'm very new to Twitter, and I just stumbled upon this feature, and I would like to ask a question from you guys. I've been a teacher throughout my educational years. I've been taking college, and now that I've graduated, I want to change career paths, and I've been invited to a job interview, at a large company. And I would like to hear some pieces of advice from you guys, to see how can I come across as confident, and how can I like win that opportunity.
Awesome, Elle. Thanks so much for sharing that, and I'm glad to hear that you're interested in transitioning. I mean, a transitioning career is a very common thing that we all done. And I'll share one thing. I've actually had four careers. A lot of people don't know this. I've actually had four careers. I started out actually in engineering, okay, and then I spent some time teaching, like you did, and then I spent some time in brand marketing. And now I've been a motivational speaker and coach for the last 17 years because I found my purpose. Now, how do you build confidence? Well, the first thing I'll say is number one, identifying what are the things that you're nervous about. So let's look at that. Maybe make a list of the five things that are the top five things that are making you nervous or you're concerned about in terms of this interview. So, for example, maybe it's something like, well, I'm worried that I may not be able to speak. I may not be able to speak clearly to some of the questions they might ask. Well, so by identifying that, one way to deal with that, the question, how are you going to deal with it? So one way to deal with that is then list all the types of questions you might get and try to write out in advance some of the things you might say to answer that question. So those are things you can do to address those concerns. The second thing is if you want to have more confidence, again, that comes in preparation. So one of the things I tell people when it comes to speaking more confidently is number one, uh, organize your stuff and rehearse your stuff, right? So what you want to do is you organize your thoughts and ideas and answers to the typical types of questions you're going to ask getting these interviews and lay it all out on paper or on a Word document or something so that you feel more prepared. And then number two, you rehearse it, right? So what that means is you might work with a colleague or a friend to say, hey, listen, why don't you ask me one of these random questions and I'm going to try to answer it and you give me feedback on what I'm doing. Because the more you organize, prepare yourself, the more you rehearse these things, the more confident you'll be because the nerves will start to go down. Now, nerves don't go down to zero, right? I have nerves before every single speech. I have nerves even before I start the Twitter space. Why? Because I care. I care to do a good job. I care to deliver value for people. I care to make this space an effective space. So nerves are okay. Nerves mean you care, but by preparing, by focusing on those the saboteur thoughts and focusing on the things you're concerned about and finding a way to address them, whether it's on a paper or a pad or pencil or whether it's online on like a Word document, is one thing. Second thing is preparing from a mindset perspective. So organize yourself. Make sure you know what question is going to be asked. Make sure you know how you present yourself. What if they ask the question? Tell me about yourself. Well, you need to have some sort of statement that you've practiced for 2 minutes where you talk about who you are, what you care about, and why they should hire you. And so that preparation and that rehearsal over and over again will go really, really for you. Most people, and then the last thing I'll say is you have to really manage your energy. So a lot of people, this is something that, like over the years, I get resumes from people that say, "I have excellent interpersonal skills," right? And then they show up to I bring them in to interview them because they clearly have great knowledge, and they say excellent interpersonal skills, and then they come to my interview, and I'm like, "Hi, I'm Bobby. Nice to meet you," and they're like, "Hello." I'm like, where? Why would you say you have excellent interpersonal skill? Like, get to come with energy. So my point is, build your, like if you are an introvert, you need to build up your energy before the event. You need to make sure that you build it up. If you are a high energy person like myself, great, come in with lots of energy, but make sure you are enthusiastic and passionate, and energetic because people love that. So you have to find a way to leverage that energy and use it to your best advantage. So those are my initial thoughts to help you get going. Andrea, anything you want to add?
Absolutely. Loved everything that you shared. Very, very practical and doable and very realistic. What I wanted to also add is a lot of things that hold us back on, I'm going to lean over on the mindset piece, is, our thoughts that are floating around our head. So a lot of the time we want to just not listen in to our self-talk that's kind of going to drag us down and our energy. So what we want to do is, it's great to observe it and notice, but those self-doubts are going to creep into our mind because it happens to all of us. I mean, Bobby just mentioned it earlier, with our mindset. And even, oh, no, you can't, that's not the right color suit to wear to that interview. Don't wear that. No, that's not good. Or no, you're not prepared enough. Or whatever those thoughts are that are floating in your head, just notice those and instead replace them with something that is much better. And what I like is to replace them with some affirmations. And it could just be a little card with an affirmation, and find one that suits you, that's positive, that's going to uplift you, and even take that in. And what before you go into the interview, or have it in your folder or your bag or whatever, and just glance at it and just focus on that when you start to feel that self-doubt, or even if it's an interview on the phone or whatever, or you're writing and creating a new, even a resume. Make sure that your mindset is you're in a good place. And Bobby mentioned about energy, and a lot of times we can be depleted of energy because we haven't got the basics. So the basics from Maslow's hierarchy. Did I get enough sleep? Make sure you're having enough sleep, particularly before an important meeting or interview. Am I hydrated? These are some basic things. And you'll notice that, have I eaten? Make sure that you eat, and make sure that, you've taken some time for self-care before you've jumped into whatever you have to do. And sometimes that's every day. I recommend also putting some time aside every day for some basic self-care for you. And, that doesn't mean that you have to zen out and do a meditation or affirmations, or if that's not your thing, but it could just mean some time in solitude, listening to music, reading a great book, maybe a book in self development that's going to help you move forward. So over to you, Bobby.
Yeah, that was great. Thanks so much. And Elle, let me ask you, is that helpful, or do you have a follow up question for us?
Thank you so much, guys. That was actually quite helpful, and I now have a vision of what I'm gonna do, and I can prepare myself for the interview better. Thank you so much.
Woohoo! And that's the power of community, right? One of the reasons why we run these rooms is because this is a community that we're trying to help people out, right? And if you want to build your confidence, working with a coach is one thing. Number two, having a supportive community where you can actually ask questions and share with people also goes a long way. And again, consistency with your actions and work on your confidence and work on getting clarity around who you are and what you do. These are all things that are going to help you impact your life and your business. So that's why we're talking about mindset, confidence, saboteurs, and how to actually work on your own leadership. If anybody else wants to share knowledge, or if people want to come on stage, you're more than welcome to do that. In the meantime, and again, please tweet this out there. Let's get more people in the room. I'd love to have, and you can also use I'd love to have more people on stage, but also you can click on the button there. You can even take see that scissors button that allows you to capture a moment. If Indra says something kick ass awesome, you can click the the button there and then share that with your network. If I happen to say something really nice or and helpful, that you can also click that scissors button and take a piece. That's something actually that was on Clubhouse first, but now Twitter Space has it, which is great. I think they should. I want to. So I'm going to segue a little bit to something else now. I want to share with you the different types of saboteurs we have. Okay, so this is based on a coaching program that I took called Positive Intelligence. It's called Sage Leadership, and what it is, it's this whole system designed to help you navigate mindset. But in order to navigate mindset, it's important to understand the saboteur thoughts that we typically have. Okay, and you might identify with some of these, and some of these you may not. There's a quiz actually you can take that helps you understand them, but I'm going to go through all of them. I think there's 9 of them. So the saboteur is, so the first one. This is something that I have to deal with. It's called the avoider. So focusing on the positive and pleasant in an extreme way, avoiding difficult and unpleasant tasks and conflict. So I have this going on. And actually, Indra, it reminds me, I wanted to, at some point, Indra, if you're available, I'd love to have a quick call with you about something I'm struggling with. And maybe I think you might be able to provide me some insights. But I'm actually avoiding a task that's been in my inbox for like 3-4 weeks, and I'm not dealing with it. And honestly, dealing with would literally take me maybe 15 minutes just to figure out what to write and what to say, and I'm not doing it. And so for me, that's holding me back. Another saboteur thought is a controller. So this is basically it's an anxiety-based need to take charge and control situations and people's actions to one's own will. High anxiety and impatient when that is not possible. I have a little bit of that. Like I was, my wife and I were in this parents meeting last night, talking about our kids' music camp, and all the parents were talking. And at a certain point, they were talking about really meandering things, and the call was going on forever. And I was like, "Oh my god! Like, can we just get back on track and focus?" And I and I was so frustrated. I eventually just left and went to hang out with the kids. And my wife's like, "Where'd you go?" I was like, "Well, I was involved the first 45 minutes, but once it got past an hour, I was like, man, we're not getting anywhere." And so I figured I left you to it. So that's another saboteur thought people might have. Now, if anyone recognizes these and you feel that you recognize them, just tweet out there, put your hand up, or give me a clap or something. Number 3, the hyperachiever. I'm a little bit of this too. Dependent on constant performance and achievement for self-respect and self-validation. Latest achievement quickly discounted, needing more. So there's people out there, including myself, who want to do better and better and more and more. Okay, yeah, I just won that chess game. Yeah, but I want to win more chess games. Oh, I just got that level. Yeah, but I want more levels. Another one, the hyper-rational. Intense and exclusive focus on the rational processing of everything, including relationships, can be perceived as uncaring, unfeeling, or intellectually arrogant. Now, I don't have that one myself, but I have dealt with people who are like that, and yeah, to be honest, I find them frustrating. I'm like, man, do you see? Like, I get frustrated with them, and so, but these people, but this is a saboteur thought they have that holds them back from being able to move forward on something. Another one is called the hypervigilant person. So continuous, intense anxiety about all the dangers of what could go wrong. Vigilance that can never rest. And so that's more of a neurotic type thing that holds us back. What if this happens? What if this happens? What if that happens? Then there, of course, the people pleaser, which I already mentioned. They try to gain acceptance and affection by helping, pleasing, rescuing, flattering others. They lose sight of their own needs and become resentful as a result. So when I started doing things for my parents and not for myself, I started to become resentful of my parents, or I started doing things to please my wife, and I can't, do my own things. So I started becoming resentful of my wife. That people pleaser stuff happens all the time. Then there's the restless person. A restless person constantly in search of greater excitement in the next activity or constant busyness, rarely at peace or content with the current activity. We know those people who they can't relax, they can't chill, they're just there. The next one is called the stickler. So basically, perfectionism and the need for order and organization taken too far. Anxious, trying to make too many things perfect. And I know people are like that. I've been a bit of a stickler sometimes for things, and sometimes it holds me back because the expression is done is better than perfect because perfect is never done. So like just get it out there, put it out there. Don't be a stickler. Don't hold yourself back. And then finally, the last saboteur thought that we all have is victim. An emotional and temperamental is a way to gain attention and affection. An extreme focus on internal feelings, particularly painful ones, a bit of a martyr streak. So it's basically this idea where we sometimes will, I guess, see ourselves as a victim and put ourselves down as a means to impede our movement. And so these are all different things that show up as a way. These are all saboteur thoughts that help us, or not help us, they hold us back. And so one of the things that I've learned is that there's different ways to deal with this. So one, of course, is you have to be able to intercept those saboteurs and build the muscle in your head and your mind about it. Now that comes with practice. It takes a lot of practice to be able to do that and build that up. You have to understand the saboteurs that I mentioned and then be able to talk back at them. They'll talk to you in your head, right? You got to be able to talk back. No, here's why. And there's different ways to actually do that. And I'm going to share with you the 5 primary powers that you can use to deal with saboteurs. One is the power of empathy, empathizing with yourself, empathizing with other people to then create more positive action. Number 2, to explore with curiosity about why those feelings are there, and to then overcome those feelings with action. Number three, to innovate. So just to creatively find ways to get around these things, to innovate new ways of doing things versus just saying that these ways aren't working. Navigate is a way, again, to put together a plan, like Indra mentioned, to put together a plan, an action plan to help you navigate these things. And then finally, activate. Sometimes the best way to just deal with a saboteur thought is just to take action, just move and just do stuff. And that works really, really well. So those are some thoughts I want to share on saboteur thoughts and then how to actually overcome those saboteur thoughts. And if anybody has any questions on those, you're more than welcome to do that. If anybody wants to share or ask more questions about how to leverage better mindset, confidence, and overcome saboteurs to increase your leadership in your career or your business, I'd love to hear from you, because this is a really important conversation to me, and I love to help people. But I'm not sure, Indra, any thoughts on what I just said? I mean, I went on this whole thing about sharing the 9 saboteur thoughts and the 5 different ways to overcome them. But did you have any thoughts on anything that caught your mind?
Yes, absolutely. And I think, Bobby, what you described is pretty much part of what we all go through as a process. I don't know anybody that doesn't kind of lean into different areas, even if you just put your little toe in and you're back out. I think a lot of things are, look, predominantly, a lot of things come down to we have things that are within our control, and a lot of things are out of our control. And if we spend or invest too much of our time in the areas that are out of our control, then that's where a lot of other things happen. And some of those things that do arise are usually driven from fear. Whether it's, we're afraid that it's not going to work, we're afraid that we're going to fail, we're afraid of what people might say about us. Oh, if I post this, will they not like it? Will I not get any likes at all? I mean, from the smallest things to the biggest things, right? So, we have a lot of, like fear about things. And it's almost easier sometimes. And this is an exercise that I like to do, Bobby, and it's a real exercise that I find really easy, is if there's a particular issue at hand, I basically do 2 lists. And I do the first list is what are my concerns? And then I take out of that list and I break it into the things that are within my control. And then I add more things. I build on the things that are within my control. So, and then I go back and I circle the things that are out of my control. And pretty much I just build and build on the things that I have control over. And it actually helps me to feel better that these are all the things I can focus on now. And then you become like you a lot calmer, and you can build a sub list of action items, because ultimately, it goes back to the fact that if we can take steps forward, we are going to feel a lot better about things. Now, when we are feeling our best, those fears that are underlying, I'm talking about these basic fears that, we all have that built that list, right? Is they're going to start to fade away. And the thing is that we have to do some of this self growth work every day on an ongoing basis to keep kind of that, those self doubts and fear, at bay. And sometimes, we can, I think there was a very valuable point that Bobby, that you made earlier about having empathy for ourselves and kindness to ourselves. A lot of the time, we are really good at giving kindness and empathy to other people. In fact, we're trying to, make them happy, make sure our family is all good and everything else. And we forget that we just have to turn into ourselves and give ourselves a little bit of kindness and empathy. And the reason why sometimes those saboteurs get a little bit out of control is because we're not really balanced. So we're having a little bit of an imbalance at that moment. So it's important to reflect back on yourself and to give yourself a little bit of TLC to build those other things up, and basically to keep at bay the saboteurs, and the fear.
Yeah, thanks so much for that, Indra. There's certainly a lot of fears that we have, and one of the things I always talk about is doubt, right? So I often say that doubt is actually worse than fear because fear sometimes can motivate us, right? Because it's a pain point, and oftentimes we move away from a pain point. Fear of death, or fear of bad health, or fear of failing an exam will motivate us to study or to exercise. Doubt is a real problem because when you have doubt, there's no way to overcome it unless you actually do active work or have the support of somebody to do it. But yeah, but doubt is rooted in fears, right? It's rooted in fears of negative outcomes, right? The fear of a negative outcome, which creates doubt in ourselves. And so that's why it's important for us to, again, to have a system or a process and a coach and a community to help you do that. So, and that's why, again, I mentioned that if you look at the nest above, I have a couple of tweets up there. One, of course, is if you want to follow me on LinkedIn and you can follow my page and see what I'm talking about, please do. But also, I'm running a workshop with two other amazing mindset coaches on how to actually build a stronger mindset for leadership, which is going to lead to greater results and greater success. And so, if you want to learn more about that, click on the link above, see what we're talking about. I hope you can join us. It's a 2-hour workshop end of this month. And if you sign up, you still get a replay. The price is fantastically lower than my normal coaching rate, so you get access to me there. And we're going to give you some really amazing tools and exercises to really help you get to that next level and help you put you on a plan. So, and if you have a question about it, just ping me or DM me here or on LinkedIn. I'm happy to have a chat about that. So I want to talk about. I saw that I saw Crystal had put together a question in the chat box, which is great. You can actually chat with people, and I see other people said they understand this. So I'm going to read. I'm going to read Crystal's tweet. We all know this quote: "You are the average of the top 5 people you spend the most time with." What I struggle with is finding these connections. In real life, I'm pretty much a loner. I find it difficult to make friends as an adult. It might be a mix of confidence issues, trust issues, and mild social anxiety. I'd love to hear advice about making friends and meaningful connections. I know this is something that's missing in my life that will help me bring me to higher levels. Yeah, that's a great question, Crystal. Thank you so much for that. I mean, what's really interesting is there's a study that came out that showed that there are now a high number of people who have zero close friends they talk about their deep personal thoughts with. It's increasing all the time. 20, 30 years ago, we often had on average 2 to 3 people, but now it's less. It's less and less. And so we don't have those people anymore to have those meaningful conversations. Maybe digital has made us more detached. Maybe it's made us more anxious. But the truth is, yeah, it's becoming harder and harder for us to share deeper, more personal connections. Now, uh, you know, the best thing I can tell you, Crystal, is that building deep, meaningful connections takes time. But the other thing I can tell you is that it does require a bit of work on your end. And here's the hard part, okay? According to Brené Brown, who does a really amazing TED Talk on how to create she talked about the power of vulnerability, actually. And in my TEDx talk, and if you actually watch that one, my TEDx talk is called The 5 C's of Connection. And I referenced Brené Brown because the question came up: How does Bobby build deep, meaningful connection with people? And it starts with vulnerability. If you are willing to share your vulnerability or your personal stories with people, they're more likely to create a deeper connection with you. But a lot of people are really shy or hesitant about doing so. I think that becomes a bit of an issue. Another thing I would say, to me, like being able to share your story or talk about these things and put it out there can go a long way into actually building those relationships. The other thing, of course, is going to events and start learning to strike up conversations with people that are more meaningful. Instead of saying, what do you do? Instead of saying, where are you from? You can ask more meaningful questions that are more yes and questions. Something like, you're at an event, you can ask a question like, what did you think of that speaker's message? Or a question like, hey, who else here have you met that has been really interesting? And that way, you might get leads onto and have a more fruitful discussion about the things that you're talking about. So there are different ways to do it, but it is uh, a longer thing. And then the last thing I'll say is if you do have mild social anxiety and you do have trust issues and confidence issues, what I can tell you is that when it comes to mindset and confidence, Every single one of us has these issues. And the best way to really resolve them is to dive deep into them. I talk about diving deep in your personal brand. Okay, fine. But let's say we do have specific mindset issues around social anxiety. I have specific issues around my binge eating and my body image and food addiction that I struggles. And so one of the best ways I've dealt with it is to dive deep into it with my therapist and my counselor, psychotherapist, things like that. But what you can do is know that there's three main pains and emotional pains that people have in life. Number one one is emotional pain. So you may have an emotional pain about going through something that was traumatic or difficult or challenging or scary is one. The second thing we have is financial pain. Maybe we went broke. Maybe we struggled for money. Maybe we felt. Maybe we, worried about losing our money or financial status, things like that. Financial pain. And the third one is relationship pain. This is a very, very common one. And relationship pain is very similar to emotional pain, but relationship pain with either a partner, relationship pain with an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend, relationship pain with your parents or a bad friend. I've had relationship pain recently with one of my best friends of my life. He was the best man at my wedding. I was the best man at his wedding. And during the pandemic, he decided to completely disconnect from me, and it hurt like hell, and I didn't know why. He wouldn't explain it to me, and it was really, really difficult for me to deal with. And so that's an example of relationship pain that I have to process and try to figure out. So this is something that happens to a lot of us. And so in terms of making friends, you got to put yourself out there. In terms of overcoming anxiety, you have to do the deep dive work, get a coach, get a supportive community. I mentioned before that I coach people, I get coached as well. I also mentioned before that the TLB Club is a membership community where people support each other and share their challenges, share their issues, and we support one another. And that's what's so great about it. There's only like 40 people in the group. But if people want to join, you can look up thoughtleaderbrain.club or go to the TLB Club Instagram page and see what we're doing. But that works. It's significant to do that. You can make those connections, but it takes time, and it's nothing. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging the challenges. In fact, even acknowledging the challenges, like you have so well, Crystal, will lead to people saying, "I relate to you," and next thing you know, you have a conversation. I see here, PR girl said, "I feel it's 100%." Amen to that. You know what? When they do that and they reach out and agree with you, reach out to them and say, I really appreciate that, you know, and maybe even more so. How about say, would you like to have a conversation about this? Imagine what happens with that, because now you're relating on something you both agree with, and soon, after a couple of conversations, you feel close to that person. It's interesting you mentioned this too, because I actually, my latest post today on LinkedIn was all about how cultures and communities start to evolve and become more social and personal. And it takes time, but eventually when you meet people, you may talk business or you may talk topic related. You meet them at, let's say, rock climbing, you talk about rock climbing, but eventually after 3 or 4 engagements, you start talking about personal. Oh, did you see that movie? Did you go to that restaurant? Oh, and next thing you know, you're talking about, oh, by the way, yeah, my friend and I had this big conflict, and can you believe it? And now you're talking about more personal things. So it takes time to build that stuff. I hope that answers the question. Indra, any thoughts to this?
Well, everything that you shared was really valuable, and we can all keep doing all those things. I think that's the main thing that came back to me. But I was having a conversation with my mentor, and over the weekend, and the thing is that I think we go through phases with our with our friendships, with our professional relationships, and everything else. And I think the main thing is to be very personable when you're starting new friendships, relationships, and everything else. Because what happens is, and I'll give you an example. Um, okay, so on the receiving end, I get bombarded with these emails, DMs, and everything else, like LinkedIn and Twitter and email. I mean, it's just chock a block. And what happens is people reach out to me, a lot of writers, and they have these scripts and they don't even say hi Indra. They just all they start doing is pitching everything. So I haven't even got a feel for who this person is then. And instead of kind of building that relationship with them and kind of getting to know them, it's just kind of it's straight into business. And so I want to go back to Bobby's point on relationship building and how important that is, because often what happens is I get overwhelmed with these types of things, and I just sort of think, wow, that's just too much for me. So I just kind of skip over that email or that DM, because there's no sort of, hi, how are you? Hope you're having a great day. There's no even introduction about themselves. It's just all they've done is just dropped a pitch at me. um, and it could be a really great project, but I think, I'm just going to pass on looking at that, because I don't know what they're going to be like working with them. Because then I think, well, oh, what will they be like working with them? If there's some issues with the script, will our team be able to give them feedback? Will we be able to have that type of relationship back and forth? Because it's just very much, it's just like it's very kind of harsh. Like the communication is just there. So I think it's always worth it to just build that relationship with people, and to take a little bit of time to introduce yourself is really important, because then I don't have to, because otherwise I would have to go and research that person, right? I would have to, and really I don't get a really good essence about that person because they're not actually telling me themselves. So that's the only thing I'd like to add on to that, Bob.
Yeah, thanks so much for that. Appreciate it. And for Crystal's benefit, I found the TEDx talk that I did a long time. It feels like so long ago. So it's 10 years ago, over 10 years ago I did this. But it's called the 5 C's of Connection. One of the things I talked about in it is that if you care enough about a person, an idea, or an organization, and then you communicate in a proactive, which is what Indra was referring to, in a proactive and deep, vulnerable way, you will create a deep and powerful connection. So you have to care authentically, genuinely, and deeply, and you also have to proactively communicate in a deeper, vulnerable, and proactive way. You got to be proactive. In fact, you have to be assertive sometimes about that. But if you do that, then you create a deep and powerful connection. And then the other 2 C's are the more connections you create, the more you create community. And then the more you create a powerful community, that's when you create change. So those are the 5 C's of connection. So if you want to take a look at that video and see me and my younger, darker haired, non gray hair self, you can enjoy that talk and take a look at it. Um, so hopefully that answers that question. And again, we've had a really great discussion today on how mindset, confidence, saboteurs can impede your leadership. Again, I think it's really important for all of us to invest in learning about mindset, to understand the business and career paths that we're on, get clarity in your personal brand, to work on consistency, to work on confidence. Because again, if you work on mindset, you work on confidence, and you have a coach, you have a community, and you have the training, which is my workshop's all about, I guarantee you that I can help you get to that next level of success. So if anybody wants to work with me, ping me, reach out to me, let me know. Or you can just take that workshop and you'll get access to me for 2 hours. You can ask whatever questions you want, and we'll look at your specific personal profile and we'll dive deep into it. And the workshop's at a really way amazing price compared to what my normal consulting would cost. So take a look at that and let me know what you think. And I also want to thank Indra for being here. Indra, any final last thoughts before we end off the room?
Yes, I have a bunch. I really think that the basis of everything that Bobby and I have been sharing here really comes back down to mindset, of us investing the time in ourselves, because that really sets up a lot of other things. If we have the investment in ourselves, and when we're in the right state of mind, then all of the things that we're going to put forward, our action list, our reaching out to build relationships, everything else is going to sort of be falling in line in a natural, organic way. So I really feel it's like worthwhile for you to spend a little bit of time and allocate some time every day for self-care for yourself, and just kind of tune in to you, and don't be afraid to kind of ask yourself some questions and journal, or just write down on a messy pad. It doesn't have to be beautiful journaling, um, you know, words. It's just about connecting to yourself, because everything stems from us that we're going to put out into this world. And we always want to put our best foot first. And we always want to connect with others when we're feeling our best. So that's why I say invest in yourself, because we are our best asset. And when we do all those things, we're just going to shine brightly. So thank you, Bobby, for inviting me to co-host today. It's been really amazing. I've enjoyed. Thank you, everybody, for getting active in the chat as well. It's been a really great space. And for those of you that I've seen a couple of people that have just jumped in at the last minute, a little bit later, there is a replay with loads of information. Bobby has packed this space with loads of information. Do follow Bobby. And do go and investigate all of his links and places. He's all over social media as well. And he has so many resources out there that can really give you some practical help. So thank you so much for having me, and sending everybody out for the day with love, light, and blessings from me.
Yeah, thanks, Indra. Always, and again, you can see why I love having Indra co-host with me, which is great. I really do appreciate that. We've had some really great co-hosts over the year and a half I've been doing this room, so it's great. Let me share with you guys one last thing I'd invite you to do. So, number one, you know what? Share the knowledge with your network. Okay, so take a photo of this group right now. Take a picture of it. Share it on Instagram. I'm at Rayhan Bobby on all the different platforms. Share it on Twitter and say, hey, here are the 3 things I learned from this room. I learned about Saboteur 1. I learned about confidence. I learned about this tip that Indra or Bobby gave. Like, just do that. And then tag us. Do it on LinkedIn. You can share it on LinkedIn. Someone did a post on LinkedIn on a previous thing, and when they tag me, I comment on it and I like it, and next thing you know, my 7,000 followers on LinkedIn will see it too, and that's good value for your community. If you share in a tweet, I'll tweet to my 500,000 followers, and next thing you know, people will see what you're talking about. Instagram, my 30,000 connections will see what I'm doing when you post it. So I encourage you to take photos of these things, and then when the replay is there, I saw it. I got another really great, lovely compliment from Angela. Thank you so much, Angela. I really do appreciate it. You said this is really great stuff. You could also, again, when the replay is done, the replay will be here. You can share the replay and share. Here's why you need to read this, because why you need to watch this because of X, Y, Z, and share that information. Okay, so I think that all that kind of stuff will go a long way. And so with that, I do want to thank you all for this. I need to go and have some lunch and do the rest of my day, but I do want to thank all of you for being here today. I want to thank you for sharing your stories. I want to thank you for sharing your vulnerability. I want to thank you for your gratitude. The reason why this is called Power of Connection is because I firmly believe the power of connection. The power of connection is what drives me, what fuels me. It's my main hashtag I use on LinkedIn and all the different platforms that I love to share this type of knowledge with. So if you want to learn more about the things that I'm doing, what I can share with you right now is that tomorrow, actually today, so I'm doing today on Clubhouse at 4 p.m., I'm doing a mindset room with my friend Roy, who's in that workshop on specifically around LinkedIn. That's at 4 p.m. today. On tomorrow at 4 p.m., I'm doing a LinkedIn audio room with Rachel Simon on how to about doing events and meeting people in person. And then on on Thursday, I'm doing another LinkedIn audio room on specifically talking about that's at 2 p.m. Eastern. So I'm doing these rooms on a regular basis, and then I do Twitter Spaces on Mondays 11:15 a.m. on the Power Connection, and on Sundays at 3 p.m. Eastern on LinkedIn Mastery. So that's what I talk about. And if you want to learn more about me or my workshops and what I'm doing, again, I have 2 big workshops coming in this month. On Wednesday, the 28th, I'm doing a free live stream on how to get a TEDx talk on LinkedIn. And then, although it's actually going to be on Twitter as well. And then on Thursday, I'm doing this workshop on how to build a leadership mindset to overcome challenges and create success for yourself in your life. So that's going to be an amazing workshop. I'm looking forward to doing that with those 2 awesome, amazing people. And with that, I wish you all well. Have yourselves a wonderful day. We're going to close the room now in 5 seconds. Bye.